Good morning and welcome to the Path to Awakening series with Venerable Khenpo Tenzin. We'll get started in the yellow prayer book on page 4. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness in the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering in the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness in the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering in the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness in the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering in the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion.
Lam Trova Sevara Sinja Labdozo, Trova Ishu Sanja Varasinja Labdozo, Kanga de Gender Wanjo, Kapame Bache, Membache, Pamemba, Tame. Wame Bandro, Membata de Medon Jeme, Tupanya Jaden Bazo, Basanje Mananje, Dambata La Janzar, Dinjanza Valama, Jagozondo Jasilanda. Nage Julambe de Doga, Damadan, Sunje, Donja Jambando, Barzinja Labdozo. Many Trashtel Dhamma brothers and sisters. Today we are going to discuss the completion stage. Last week we discussed the generation stage. So whenever we listen Dharma, reflect Dharma, meditate on Dharma, we should arise bodhicitta in the mind. So I remind you, and then we are going to start our main discussion. So the generation stage has two divisions, the gross and the subtle, and it also includes the object of meditation, which is a visualization. So we visualize the gross, like the tankas of yidam deities, sometimes syllables that are large in size, and other visualizations. But then in the other form of the generation stage, we can visualize subtly. Meaning in a small seat, we can visualize thousands of yidam deities appearing in this small seat, which is like a small drop. If we attain stability on the generation stage, then we are ready to practice the completion stage. So the completion stage usually is the antidote of four ordinary experiences of dissolution, uh, which are sleep, falling unconscious, union and death. Because at those times our gross consciousness dissolves into the subtle, and this subtle consciousness also completely dissolves into the center channel. Uh, to give you an example, when we meditate in samadhi and that develops, we will begin to meditate in vipassana. Uh, I mean, samadhi means here means shamatha. So um, we can say that vipassana is the complete development of shamatha. In the same way, when we develop the generation stage, uh, it leads to the completion stage. When we meditate on the generation stage and experience it greatly, we naturally come to the completion stage. For example, through our meditation, the winds enter the center channel and then remain there and dissolve there. At that time, there is innate bliss or spontaneously arising bliss. Whenever that bliss arises, that means our meditation moves from the generation stage to the completion stage. So then the whole relationship is like that between the generation stage and completion stage. And then when we discuss the completion stage, it has five categories. First, the definition, and then divisions, and then the explanation in words, and how to transform the lower path into the higher path, and then finally how to ripen the fruition. So the definition of the completion stage is that practitioners of the completion stage who meditate, and through the power of meditation, the wind enters the center channel, remains in the center channel, and then dissolves into the center channel. At that time, those who experience this will notice some different from the experience of generation stage. And this is the definition of completion stage. Then there are six divisions. These are that in the completion stage, one should have first a body free from the complexities of activity, sound or speech free from complexities of activity. That is the second. Third, a mind free from complexities of activity. And fourth, in illusory body. Fifth, luminosity. And sixth, unity. Also, or the completion stage visualizations are included in in two categories, which are the completion stage with characteristics and the completion stage without characteristics. So first, let us understand this. In the explanation through words, what is completion stage? Uh, Stage is not created through thinking or through our mind, but innately through practicing with the body's channels and our wind and the drops, realization will arise. That is what completion stage means. And also the completion stage with characteristics means with characteristics means practicing with the channels. Usually we say we are practicing through the stable nadas and the abiding stable channels, and also movement, which is wind and also the bindus. And we practice skillfully and knowingly and meditate in this way. This is the meditation of completion stage with science. Uh, Now we have to know uh, what is meant by a body free from the complexities of activity. This is the first division of the completion stage. This means that during the meditative equipoise, the wind dissolves into specific channels in the center channel, and then there will arise emptiness and bliss. And then we meditate on this, and then during post meditation, we are see all phenomena as illusion. At that time, the wind is that time mind is completely dissolved into emptiness and bliss. And then when this mind projects outside, then everything appears as illusory forms. Phenomena appear as illusions. And from there, many of Yidam deities appear. So, right now we often say when we visualize Yidam deities, don't visualize them as solid forms, but visualize them like rainbows or dreams. That means in this case, it appears like spontaneously. You can visualize like that effortlessly. So this is what is meant by a body free from complexity of activity. This is the first division of completion stage. When we practice with the wind, at first the wind could just enter the center channel, but it will not be able to dissolve into the special channel inside the center channel. So it just enters the center channel. That's all. But if we continuously meditate on this, our practice will progress, and the wind will remain there. And then also, if we frequently or often meditate like this, our meditative experience progress, uh, and the wind can dissolve into the center channel. Usually, it is quite hard to bring about this experience uh, when we breathe uh, in through our nostrils. Sometimes this breath or this air, one is strong, one is loose. Sometimes one part of the breath is strong and the other is loose. Sometimes when we breathe in strongly, uh, it has good qualities, and sometimes when we breathe loosely, it also has good quality. Good quality. Uh, there are lots of different ways to breathe, but when we practice the completion stage, if we inhale equally through both nostrils, that is the sign of the air entering into the central channel. And then when you stop breathing through your nostrils, that is the sign that your winds remain in the central channel. And then through your meditation, sometimes the air spontaneously stops coming and going through your nostrils, but there is still movement in your stomach or chest area. Then, through your training and meditation, if the movement of the breath in the area of your chest and your stomach stops, uh, this is the sign that the wind is dissolving in the central channel. And also, this wind dissolves in different locations in our channels. Uh, in some locations, it's pretty hard to dissolve. In other locations, it's pretty easy. Inside the channels, there are many petals, like a lotus, and many locations. Uh, Without practicing the body being free of uh, complexity of activity, uh, then the notes of the sorry the mm, with practicing the body being free from of complexities of activity, then the nodes of the channels will not uh, be sorry without without practicing uh, mm, the body being free from of the complexity of activity, then the nodes of the channels will not be able to open. That's why it will not be possible to dissolve the winds into the heart chakra. During the practice of the body being free from the complexities of activity, the winds will dissolve in the navel chakra, and from these, the wisdom of bliss and emptiness arise. And then from this meditation, all appearances are sealed with bliss and emptiness. So through this, the five family Buddhas will appear, and then these five family Buddha are each multiplied by five. These five are also multiplied by four. So in total, it will become the 100 family Buddha, 100 family Buddhas. And included in the five family Buddhas are the three family Buddhas, or the four, or the one Buddha, or Heruka is included in them. Actually, the body being free of the complexity of activity means that over ordinary five aggregates and five sins and five faculties, these dissolve into bliss and emptiness in general completion stage. So our ordinary perception disappear. It is purified. So what appears is emptiness, and what we experience is bliss. We see all the Yidam deities and the five family Buddhas. Usually, during the generation stage, there is also self visualization. In this case, self visualization means that you visualize yourself as the Yidam deity, but during the generation stage, only oneself arises as the Yidam deity. Sometimes in generation stage, we try to arouse bliss and emptiness. But in completion stage, everything is dissolved into great bliss and emptiness. So that's why what appears are the Yidam deities, and all experiences are bliss. And then second is the speech being free from the complexity of activities. In brief, the body and speech being free from the complexity of activity means we do not need abandon them. But here, free from complexity means we should transform the body into the illusory body, and the speech into sound emptiness. And then we seal them with a bliss and emptiness. When we seal this body and speech in bliss and emptiness, then our ordinary thoughts and perceptions are spontaneously purified. Uh, they cease, and then instead of our ordinary body and speech, Buddhas and a form of Yidam deities and their seed syllable resound, especially in completion stage. We should seal this ordinary body, speech, and mind in bliss and emptiness. First, we practice the ordinary body, transforming into bliss and emptiness. Then we start to transform our ordinary speech into bliss and emptiness. How to do this is that actually wherever we focus in our body, uh, the inner winds gather there. So that's why, for example, we focus on the navel chakra. Uh, there we visualize a drop and focus on it. At that time, our inner winds and mind gather together there. Then at that time, the wind enters, remains, and dissolves there. Then, along with that, if we visualize the three syllables, Om, Ah, Hum, like a Vajra speech, at that moment in the heart chakra, some of the notes of channels will losing, which means they are almost ready to be open. Then at that time, speech will be free of complexity of activities. Now we will talk about the channels and chakras. We have already discussed the numbers of channels, and usually there are either six or four chakras, and we are going to discuss for four chakras. Near the spine, which is towards our back, there are three channels: the center channel, the right channel, or the and the left channel. Uh, they remain as the life pillars, which is like the center pillar of a tent. In Tibet, we use large tents, and these channels are like the center pillar that holds the tent up. The center channel has four qualities. It is clear, empty, blue on the outside, and red on inside. The top of the center channel, the the upper tip is around the urna, or the here between the eyebrows. Uh, one peaceful on peaceful yadam deities, and for wrathful yadam deities, it reaches to the level of their third eye. The lower tip of the center channel is the area of the secret place, and it is from here that the three channels separate. The upper tip of the red channel reaches the tip of the red nostril, and the upper tip of the left channel reaches the tip of the left nostril. And then the four chakras, the navel emanation chakra has 64 radial channels. The heart chakra, or the chakra of Dharma, has 8 radial channels. The throat center, or the chakra of enjoyment, has 16 radial channels. And the chakra of bliss at the forehead has 32 radial channels. So at the chakras, the right and left channels meet with the center channel. In the area of the navel chakra, the right and the left channels infold the center channel and are knotted around it once. And then in the heart chakra, there are 6 knots of the right and the left channels on the center channel, and also the throat and the crown chakra have knots. Now these knots, other channels separate and go different directions. So, in any case, in the heart chakra, there are six nodes between the right and the left and the center channel. Uh, these nodes are quite hard to open. That's why it's hard for the winds to enter and remain and dissolve in this chakra. Uh, Other chakras have less nodes of the right and the left channels on the center channel. That's why it is quite easy to lose these nodes or open these nodes. In brief, if you practice so that the wind enters, remains, and dissolves, then the 80, 80 kinds of thoughts will stop function or dissolve. So these 80 kinds of thoughts fall under the categories of the three experiences of appearances, increase, and attainment. So about appearances, this part has 33 thoughts, and increases has 44 thoughts, and then the attainment section has the remaining three of these different thoughts. There are some potent, some pointing out, uh, pointing out, right? Some pointing out instructions as each part of these thoughts disappear. There are different experiences. Uh, what will occur depends on how practitioners practice in that moment. The practitioners should discuss these experiences with their guru, and the guru will explain these to them in more detail at that time. Actually, it is said that when wind grossly function, at that time the subtle wind and mind don't function. That means we cannot feel them working. There are five roots winds and 10 branch winds, and some of them are very subtle. For instance, among the five root winds, there is one we call the uh, vitalizing wind or life supporting wind. This is a very subtle wind. Sometimes it is called the subtle life supporting wind. It is located in one special channel. This channel remains at the short A, which is in upside down partial A triangle in the navel. This is the foundation of speech over vowels. In the Manjushri Namasangiti, it says the syllable A is excellent among all syllables. That excellent syllable comes from nowhere, and it has no birth. It is beyond the description and explanation, but this is excellent. Then this subtle life supporting wind actually only moves through the power of karmic wind. And also, this wind can be moved through the power of meditation, like a completion stage meditation. At that time, this wind becomes indivisible with a mantra. So, practitioners who can cause this wind to move transform their ordinary speech into pure speech. The five root winds are actually the all providing wind, life force wind, downward wind, fire dwelling wind, and upward forward wind, forward moving wind. How they work on the day-to-day level is that, for example, if we vomit, right? Vomit after eating, eating, it is due to a disturbance in the winds, or sometimes we have diarrhea. In any case, these things are related to the winds. If the winds are working well, then our digestion and other bodily functions work smoothly because they are all related to the winds. Especially if we practice experientially and knowingly with our winds, then they lead our mind to higher levels of realization. So now we are going to talk about how the winds are related to our body. So the all providing wind, pr- uh, pervading winds, pervades the whole body, and mainly it pervades the joints. Ordinary people only breathe this wind through the nostrils at the time of death. Otherwise, this wind does not go through the nostrils. During meditation, when we practice with it, at that time it will move. And at that time, this wind is combined with the wind, with with the mind, and the mind is combined with the mantra, like Om Ahom, Vajra speech, and so on. So it helps to open the nodes of the heart chakra. And also uh, when this wind and other branch winds dissolve in that chakra, wisdom will arise. At that time, also there are some experiences when we practice. We have experiences, and one should discuss this with the guru. Among these experiences are the four emptiness. These are very empty, complete emptiness, great emptiness, and all emptiness. This realization will appear during the practice of completion stage, and many other qualities will be experienced, and something appear, and something increase, something and something dissolve. Uh, Hopefully, are were clear. uh, Next is, I mean, the some part is what I say. Hopefully, what I say may you understand clearly. That is my hope. Some part is not uh, ready to share. Uh, have to practice. Uh, and how to say it, like uh, um, uh, within practice, then we then the discussion comes at that time. So then the next is the mind free from the complexities of activity. If we approach it through the channels and wind, then wind enters into the center channel. And sometimes the wind dissolves into the center channel, but in some case it doesn't yet dissolve into the drop in the center channel. There are also different layers and different ways of explaining it. Some of it we have to talk about when it's time for practice. Not right now. Right now, we can't talk about it in more detail. In any case, the completion stage is the antidote of the perceptions of death, unconsciousness, sleep, and ordinary union. During the ordinary union, there are lots of ordinary perceptions, and it will purify them. There are also lots of way to explain each and every step, how to do the completion stage. And in the future, you will receive these teachings in more detail. And usually, the completion stage means dissolution. Dissolution practice is, for instance, when we practice dissolution of yidam deities. I think you are all familiar with these during the generation stage when we visualize the mandala, the sun and moon disk, the implements, and the seed syllable, and then light radiates, and from there the yidam deities arise. Then all appearances are yidam deities. All sound is mantra, and all thoughts are the dharma dhatu. And the ground is the mandala. We have already visualized that. And all beings are dakas and dakinis, or yidam deities. Some have big forms, some have small forms. We visualize that. During the dissolution, the ground mandala dissolves into the outer yidam deities. They dissolve into the main yidam deity, and then this main yidam deity also dissolves into the seed syllable, for example, the syllable Hong. The syllable Hong is Sanskrit or Tibetan. For example, it has Shabju, Achung. This downside, you focus, pay attention from downside, okay? Downside to up. So, Shabju and Achung, and then the Hong syllable, and then the moon, and sun, and nada. It all dissolves up into the nada, which then also dissolves. Then we completely relax in the dharma dhatu, or are completely at ease. This is how to practice the dissolution. In brief, during the practice of the ordinary mind, free of the complexity of activity, ordinary mind should be completely free from mundane thoughts and perceptions. During the generation stage, there are the appearances of many yidam deities and so on. But at the time of completion stage, actually, while they are present, they start to dissolve and remain in the natural state of emptiness. Next is the illusory body. So, this illusory body actually is established through the mind of luminosity. How it is established through the luminous mind is that during the practice of the ordinary mind, free from the complexity of activity, there are many practices and experiences and realizations. Practitioners who meditate uh, completely at ease in a luminosity state. When they arise from that state, a wind which is very related to the luminosity wind mind starts to move. This wind is called the five rays of color wind. Through this wind and this luminosity, their form radiates. This form is, of course, not ordinary form. From this wind, the ordinary body does not arise. So it is what we call the illusory body. And the usually understanding of the illusory body, everybody knows. There are many examples like rainbows or the moon's reflection in the water. In brief, the illusory body that is established through movement of the five rays of color, wind, and luminosity is what we call the subtle body. Our regular body we call the gross body. Anyhow, through the power of meditation, we establish this illusory body. As Milarepa said, the subtle and flexible wind and mind establish the palace mandala, and the illusory body, and so on. So that's how this illusory body is established. We understand this now, and what are the benefits of realizing the illusory body? Uh, Internally, yidam deities appear, and we spontaneously realize uh, they are Buddhas and yidam deities, not ordinary bodies and not ordinary forms. If we have this realization, then we don't have ordinary perceptions. Uh, Still, we may possibly have the imprint of ordinary thought, but we don't have a gross ordinary perception. If we don't have that, then there is no suffering in our body. And usually at that time, we are at ease in the state of luminosity. But when we arise from that, we can see all appearances as yadam deities and the ground as a mandala and palace. But these are also like a ray of luminosity. That's why there is no way ordinary dualistic perception can arise. So there are examples that illustrate what the illusory body means. Actually, it is momentarily established, like forms in a mirror. Then it pervades, pervades everywhere, like the moon's reflection in the water. And it also uh, still functions. It will have a result, for example, uh, utilizing it in practice, one will attain some benefits. The result of the illusory body are unmistakably in accord with cause and effect. All the results will appear like rainbows, the colors of which are not mixed. Everything individually remains yellow, blue, green, and so on. So we have to realize the illusory body is like a form in the mirror. And when we realize this illusory body is like that, then our uh, then all colors become like a rainbow, right? uh, then it will pervade, and all forms that appear will be illusory forms. Just like wherever there is water, there is moon's reflection. Now we arrive at the fifth division, luminosity. Actually, we often mention luminosity. It also has different layers according to the practitioner's realization. Uh, in this case, there are two kinds of luminosity: the relative or actual clear light luminosity, and and ultimate luminosity. Actually, luminosity or clear light is, for example, the sky with no darkness, no sun, no moon, and no stars, and no clouds. It is extremely clean, kind of like this. So, this is the realization. Ultimate luminosity means that dualistic thinking completely disappear. Dualistic thinking also has different layers. In the ordinary way, there is I and you. This is dualistic thinking. And during the generation stage and part of the completion stage, there is still some dualistic thinking. Like, for example, if yadams appear, uh, that is good. If other things like obstacles arise, these are the object of purification. We have that thinking. So that is the dualistic thinking. Uh, as well, as you well know, the Sachapa's for instruction for purification, the fixation. it says same instruction, and Telopa instructed to Naropa, uh, and so these things are very important to the higher practitioners. The first, actually, the uh, kind of I think a new practitioner, or I mean, they first, of course, we have to devote to Yidam deities, and we often uh, make friends with Yidam deities, because the most of time our mind is working with thoughts, ordinary thoughts. For that reasons, we don't, how to say, we will not able to appear Yidam deities. Even though we are practicing sadhanas, but we are reciting it, but our mind is wandering, wander. Mind is wandering different place. Uh, so that's where we have to more, what is called this, persevere in the to make friends, Yidam deities, and we really try to remember Yidam deities very often, kind of just right before breakfast, right before lunch, right before dinner. Uh, we offer some uh, to them. If we do that, then our food become uh, uh, Gandha Chakara. So then it blessing, bless to our body. Uh, but then we practice through this way, and then our mind, the Yidam deities, became very good friends, and then slowly uh, our mind spends with the Yidam deities, which means we can remember Yidam deities from different visualizations. Uh, when we are walking or talking or sitting, eating, whenever. And then what will happen is slowly the fixation arises. This is our human nature. This fixation appears because then we are very strongly devoting, right? Devoting to Yidam deities, and then we have arise fixating. So if we have this fixation, then what happen is still it bind to the pillar of samsara. But this robe is different. This robe is not ordinary robe. This robe is like a golden robe, right? Gold or golden robe, because this is a much higher than the ordinary perception. But whether you are wrapped or rope, bound by the ordinary rope, or uh, golden rope, however, you are you cannot separate from the pillar of samsara. That's why you cannot liberate. So that's where here very emphasize about the illusory body and the luminosity and so on. So we uh, uh, we appear Yidam deities as rainbows, and we appear Yidam deities like forms in the mirror or reflections in the water, and then these still Yidam deities continuously will appear in our mind, and but then these Yidam deities will not then this realization or experience, this experience will not bend you. This experience pulls you into the nirvana, pulls you in the mandala of Yidam deities. So that's for these reasons we have to practice more on there, and we have to perceive, or we have to emphasize, persevering. I think emphasize on there, and even in the dreams we appear Yidam deities. Still, we can see them as the how to say like a form into the mirror. So then, if we can do like that with the appearances of Yidam deities, then this ordinary body, ordinary speech, ordinary thoughts, they cannot affect to us. So we don't want to reject them, and we don't want to run away from them. But we already liberated from them. We already liberate from them because of the realization of luminosity, realization of illusory body, and so on. So that's where this is very important. Okay, and then, but if in this ultimate luminosity arises in the mind, then all the dualistic perception totally, completely disappears. When this luminosity arises in the mind, it purifies the seed of cognitive obscurations completely. So the seed of cognitive obscurations we cannot purify through the practice of dualistic practice through dualistic perception. This is also quite important to know. When we practice through the dualistic perception, we can accumulate wonderful merit, and it will really support to arise our ultimate the luminosity or something. So it will support it, but it cannot purify the seed of cognitive obscurations. Seed of cognitive obscuration is very subtle and very deep and very strong. So in the Dharma practice, for instance, these what is called the Sutara way, we have 10 bhumis. Then Buddha's bhumi, including Buddha's bhumi, 11 bhumis. So these are these bodhisattvas. They practice and they will reach, they will attain different bhumis. Then they how to say, make effort more than when they reach, for example, second bhumi, they make more effort than the first bhumi. That means they are try to purify this seed of cognitive obscurations. The grossly these obscurations are pretty easy to remove. It's There's also how to remove. There are little different things as well. As you well know that if I cut my hair, but it will grow maybe 1 month later or weeks later, it will grow. That means I couldn't cut it entirely, but it is pretty easy to cut. Cut my hair is not so difficult. Similarly, afflictive emotions are pretty easy to purify. Among afflictive emotions, there are different. Angry emotion. Angry emotion is actually pretty uh, easy to purify because everybody can see it. It is fault or it is mistake. So for example, when I am arise angry emotion, my friend immediately knows I'm angry. So then oneself also knows that oneself easily understand it. But then uh, jealousy is quite hard to understand. Of course, my friend quite hard to understand. I am in the my jealousy arise, but by myself sometimes I don't know. Ourselves we don't know when our jealousy arises. That means they have gross and subtle, like different layers. But it's that that then, but still, it is pretty hard to purify it. The problem is first we don't know it. So, for example, Buddha he immediately purified sufferings because he said first in the Four Noble Truths he said first let know all the products are impermanent, sorry, suffering. So we don't know the suffering. That means sometimes we think this something is happiness, cause of happiness, or this is happiness. That's why we adopt them, but they are not happiness. They are suffering. Anyhow, so uh, these grossly afflictive emotions are we can purify through the simple antidotes and subtle uh, imprint of afflictive emotion and cognitive obscurations. They need a very strong antidote. Otherwise, we cannot purify them. Okay, so when the luminosity arises in the mind, it purifies the seed of cognitive obscurations completely. But I mean that means the final part, right? And then finally the sixth division, union wisdom or wisdom unity. Actually, the real fruition of unity is the unified state of Vajradhara. There are four unions. They are the union of appearances and emptiness, the union of lucidity and emptiness, the union of awareness and emptiness, and the union of bliss and emptiness. So now we will discuss the union of great bliss and emptiness. Uh, this union of bliss and emptiness is all pervasive. The nature of mind of all sentient beings abides in the Dharmakaya as spontaneously great bliss. Only temporarily ignorance covers this natural state of mind, and then from that arises deluded perception. So then we follow this deluded perception, and we cannot experience this great bliss. So the we often heard both in the Sutara teachings and Vajrayana teachings that Buddha nature provides all sentient beings. This means great bliss also provides all sentient beings. Because Buddha nature is the essence of the natural state of Dharmakaya, which is great bliss. So, free from the elaboration of characteristics, the ground, the expanse of Dharmata is spontaneously great bliss. Innate bliss will not change because it is beyond being born and never ceasing. It unchangeable, provides all minds as does space. Space, right? Usually we hear that we will not find Buddha beyond our mind. In the same way, great bliss is something for which we don't want to search beyond our mind. If we try to search for it, we cannot find it. Since we have mind, then we also have innate bliss at the same time. So, this is something we can only find within our mind through the generation stage and completion stage practices. As Telopa said, I would like to realize the view of non conceptuality. So, this great bliss is to be free from the partial influences of the understandings of the mind, both conceptual and non conceptual. And also the experience of being free from the influences of the latent habitual tendencies and having no conceptual elaboration is spontaneously great bliss. Actually, this experience is not fabricated. Fabricated? Fabricated. Thank you. It is not just received through intellectual cognition. This means naturally, as a quality of our channel, the naturally of our quality of our natural mind, just like the sun has warmth, warmth, and the sun has light. And then the Dharmakaya is beyond clean and unclean and grasping and non-grasping. It is a primordial purity which is spontaneously great bliss. And then Sambhogakaya, enjoy mind, body. This is the self arising great compassion, free from the influences of birth and death, which is spontaneously great bliss. And then the Nirmanakaya, emanation body, or the self arising compassion, is free from the perception of dualistic appearances. So it is spontaneously great bliss. To be free from the influences of the elaboration of view of the self or characteristics is spontaneously great bliss. Free of partiality or distractions of time, uh, the activity of the boundless compassion of Buddha is spontaneously great bliss. In brief, the union of bliss and emptiness is not something that we create. It exists inherently. Since this great innate bliss is emptiness, and the nature of emptiness is innate bliss. If naturally there were not a union, and we made it, that would be fabrication, and it would be temporary. So they are a union, naturally like the sun and the sun's warmth. But union does not only mean two different things becoming a union. It means the essence of two things is the same, or the nature of emptiness is bliss, and essence of bliss is emptiness. So what is the benefit of innate bliss being emptiness? Because emptiness is essentially innate bliss. We can experience it, and because this innate bliss is emptiness, it remains unchangeable. So, like the essence of ice is water, the essence of innate bliss is emptiness. Emptiness is innate bliss. Then, right now, we have to purify the obscuration on the surface of the union of emptiness and innate bliss. And then we will experience it. We cannot experience it entirely at one time. But however much we purify these obscurations, that much will our experience of it increase. If we entirely purify our obscurations, then we can accomplish this union of innate bliss and emptiness completely. Then the second union, the union of clarity and emptiness. This is also the same. For instance, there is one. What is called that? Ball. Not here. I have a. It's prayer pity. not hurt. It's a good feeling. But I don't want to fixate it. I like to touch it, but um, what do we say? Sorry. Uh, this is also the same. For instance, the rainbow appears in empty space. Similarly, our bodhicitta practice is increases and realization appears in our mind. We purify obscurations and we accumulate merit. Then these cause and condition gather. Then this luminosity of nature state of mind appears. Uh, this is also no different from the union of innate bliss and emptiness. This luminosity, clarity is also naturally emptiness. So union here means that. Its essence is emptiness because things are naturally emptiness. That's why luminosity can appear. Emptiness, right now, in this completion stage, this is we are talking about a higher, pretty higher subject right now. Uh, the reason we are talking about higher subject here is we did not suddenly discuss on higher subject because since many months ago we come from step by step. Now we are reach here. Hopefully, a few weeks later we have coming these higher subjects and we maybe become Buddha. Yeah. So anyhow, uh, the what I try to say is that the emptiness in this sutara path, when we established emptiness through the interdependence, actually Vajrayana too. So the emptiness is actually we just realize emptiness. I think this realization is not true realization. I think this realization of emptiness is not so powerful. I mean, if some practitioners they particularly realize that, so of course this is same wonderful realization. But right now I say emptiness. Perhaps it is exist words for you. Oh, he mentioned about he talking about emptiness because you don't think beyond of this. Oh, he often talks about emptiness. What is emptiness? Experientially investigate. So the first, of course, that is not easy. For that reasons, we have to think interdependence. For example, my head. I have a head. I have a head. And then where is the head actually? We investigate from the directions, 4 directions, and then 10 directions. And then yesterday's my head, or today's my head, this morning is my head, this evening is my head. And then we separate all the my hairs, then my skin of head, then my kapala, my bone, ears, nose, eyes, eyebrows, everything, chins, mouth, lips, everything separate. Where is the head? We investigate through this way, we cannot find head. But that is still not excellent realization. Oh, I investigate, I cannot find head. This is empty. This is almost like a zero. Zero means, or emptiness means zero. So it does not mean, actually, I will, so the talk about that a bit more. Emptiness means, oh, they are, for example, two things. They are related to each others. They are they are related to each others. But if we investigate on there, and then these two things are not truly exist as we see, but still we can appear them. Yeah, still they appears to us. Oh, then we can realize what is ultimate level, ultimate truth, and what is relative truth. I see the relative truth is path to realize ultimate truth. But the reason why we have ultimate truth, because why we have relative truth, because of ultimate truth. For example, why do we have ice? Because of water. Why we have water? Because of ice, actually. Water comes from snow, right? Snow mountains, for example, and Tibet has many rivers. They all comes from snow mountains. So same like that. So they are interdependent. And then when we are walking on the road, we can walk because of right leg. We can move right leg because of left leg. We can move left leg because of right leg. So they are interdependent, right? So and then it is not only for what is called the intellectual way. We don't need to understand through only intellectual way. We are going to understand through our experience. This is a very important. We are meditate, practice more, and then it will grow, because inherently nature state of mind is emptiness, which is in our mind. That's where we will gain great experience on emptiness. And then the so here we can understand a very significant thing, which is emptiness does not mean like zero. Not just nothingness. So the essence of everything is emptiness. For that reason, luminosity appears. And then when luminosity appears from luminosity, then we can bring forth the Nirmanakaya. And this essence of luminosity is bliss. From this bliss, we can bring forth the Sambhogakaya. Sambhogakaya is essence of bliss, innate bliss. And Nirmanakaya is essence of luminosity. Essence, it's okay we say essence. Also, Nirmanakaya is attributes of luminosity. Sambhogakaya is attribute of the bliss. And then this essence of bliss or luminosity is emptiness. That's why from it we can arise Dharmakaya. Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya, they are also interdependent each others. That's why sometimes we talk about kayas. Uh, Actually, we have to talk kayas next awakening series teaching. What is part of awakening series? We will talk about kayas. So, in briefly, kayas, Sambhogakaya appear from Dharmakaya. Dharmanakaya appear from Sambhogakaya. Dharmakaya, did I say Dharmakaya? Sorry, Nirmanakaya. Sambhogakaya appears from Dharmakaya and Nirmanakaya appears from Sambhogakaya. And also, if we go back, the reason Nirmanakaya's essence is Sambhogakaya's essence is Dharmakaya. So they are also interdependent in the ultimate truth. So if we realized, then let us know if we talk a little bit about that. We're talking about the cause and the effect, right? Cause and effect are actually in the practice, the level of relative truth, but they are also these teachings, the teaching of karma. It also lead us on the realization of emptiness, because cause and effect, they are also interdependent each others. Without cause, there is no result. Without result, then where we get the cause? For example, if you have no child, you are not parents. No, if you the reason you are a child, that's where you have parents. So same like that. So cause means why we call cause. That means why do we call cause? Because it has a result. Why do we call result? Because it has a cause. The result is related cause. So am I correct? Why do we call? It's correct, right? Oh, thank you. So that's where everything's are interdependence. Everything's are interdependence, and then we have to realize emptiness through the interdependence. That's where the Nagarjuna's very favorite. Actually, all Nalinda masters talk about the interdependence because Shakyamuni Buddha, he taught precisely he taught about interdependence. So and then we come to the fourth union, the union of awareness and emptiness. Okay. Awareness or Rigpa. So Rigpa and awareness, usually in English we often use Rigpa, right? Rigpa. And our awareness. Rigpa means, that means actually in the relative truth, directly we can, the mind can know something, mind aware something. So this, but this is also emptiness. Actually, the essence of awareness is mind. And this awareness is also naturally emptiness. It is not different from emptiness. And emptiness is not different from awareness. It is also the union of bliss and the union of clarity with the emptiness. So there's a, if there's a candy, one round shape of candy, wherever you eat, you get sweet, right? Similarly, if you realize the essence of one point in the Dharma, then you can realize the emptiness, clarity, and you can experience bliss. That's why in the teaching says one stallion is called a horse. Stallion is one person's stallion. Stallion is everybody's stallion. That means this horse is so fast, and this horse is a special horse. So if I have that horse, then whoever see that horse is, they thought, oh, this is a very strong horse, faster horse. Horse, right? Stallion means special horse. So then one's emptiness is everybody's emptiness. That means the if you realize one object is emptiness and luminosity and bliss, great bliss, then you can know everything. So that's why this is the how to practice. You don't want to, if you know this book is emptiness, luminosity, and clarity, and innate bliss, and if you are going to, still you cannot understand this gone or gone. Gone is not emptiness, not innate bliss, not luminosity. It's impossible if you kind of this. If we, like that, then we well impossible to liberate. So that's why one great translator and scholar who in Tibet, and I think it's Atisha who come to Tibet, Atisha probably, who come to Tibet, and he talks about the Dharma, and then Atisha said, oh, you are so scholar, so I don't want to come to Tibet because kind of you, then it's wonderful. So, but then how does you practice? And then he said, when I practice separately different things, then Atisha said, oh, kind of this, then I have to come to Tibet because you don't know exactly how to practice. He said that really. So that's why we don't want to misunderstand this. If we realize emptiness on this book, we realize emptiness everywhere. Every objects are emptiness. We can realize. But one thing, there's but someone, let me say this, someone knows, okay, this book is emptiness. If you realize this book is emptiness, then you can able to realize everything's emptiness. But there's still understanding. That is very important. If you realize this book is emptiness, means you realize this book entirely. Or some your emptiness, your realization of emptiness has different layers. As I told you, like cutting my hair, because I purify some obscurations, grossly obscurations, that potential or this power, I can realize emptiness on my book, but still I have fixation in this book. Fixation of I have ordinary perception on this book. That's why I cannot realize emptiness entirely. So that's where, and also the realization related over in the way of how to say wisdom. First, we think, oh, everything's emptiness. This is our devotion, power of devotion. Just we trust, just we believe. Second, we realize our realizations like that. Oh, for that reasons, then emptiness. But this is a good realization, but not highest realization. And then the highest realization is whenever you appears these things, oh, they are appears from my mind. And my mind is emptiness. My mind's emptiness and these empty appearances, emptiness are indivisible. So when you realize that, that means highest realization. But still, it is very possible there is some uh, fixations. So you must purify fixation. Okay, so mm, okay, so the awareness and emptiness are not the emptiness is not different from the awareness, and it also the union of bliss and union of clarity with the emptiness. And in any case, we often say emptiness, it means different things when we say it. For instance, in the Sutara, there are 16 emptiness. These are first outer emptiness or external emptiness. Second is internal emptiness. Right now, I'm saying this one by one. Uh, I believe and hope, wish you will practice on there, and may you arise realizations on emptiness. That is my deeply wish, deep, deep wish. But if you don't understand, you will not suddenly, you couldn't practice or you couldn't realize on there. But still, I am reciting the names of emptiness. These are Buddha's teaching. So only, of course, I don't have power, but the power of Buddha's teaching will bless you. You know. So the second is the internal emptiness. Third, both outer and inner emptiness together. And fourth, the emptiness of emptiness. Fifth, great emptiness. Sixth, relative emptiness. Seventh, ultimate emptiness. Eighth, non-composed emptiness. Ninth, emptiness beyond extremes. Tenth is the emptiness of non-rejection. 11th is intrinsic emptiness, or the emptiness of self-nature. 12th is the emptiness of all phenomena. 13th is the emptiness of individual characteristics. 14th is emptiness of non-focus or the voidness of the non-perceived perceived. And then 15th is the emptiness of the non-material. 16th is natural emptiness. So these 16 are how emptiness is explained in the Sutara. These numbers are different degrees of emptiness, which are experienced through different levels of realizations. This is very important. Why there are outer, inner, between many emptiness? That means the uh, the realizations. We understand them through the layers of our realization. In the Vajrayana, these 16 emptiness are like the Nirmanakaya, Sambhogakaya, Dharmakaya, and the innate kaya. Innate kaya means Sava Vibhika kaya. Uh-huh. Each of these four kayas is related to form, speech, heart, and wisdom. Mhm. And each of these four can be further divided into four parts for a total of 16. Four kayas: body, speech, mind, then the wisdom, and I said heart, but the heart means one of wisdom's name. Feature well clear. So the 16 emptiness of the Sutara corresponds with the 16 part of four kayas: form, speech, heart, and wisdom. And similarly, we have 16 joys, which correspond with the different chakras. Between each of the four chakra, there are four divisions of the joys, right? The four joys are joy, supreme joy, special joy, and co-emergent joy. From the crown to the throat chakra are the four divisions of joy. Yes. Yeah, there are lots of explanations how one by one these areas. From the throat to the heart chakra are the four divisions of supreme joy. From the heart to the navel chakra are the four divisions of spatial joy. And from the navel chakra to the secret place are the four divisions of co-emergent joy. In any case, the 16 emptiness or the 16 joys or the 16 aspects of the kayas are all attributes of the luminosity of primordial wisdom. Anyhow, there are many different divisions or facets. Are you clear? Facets. Thank you. They all are the antidote of temporary ignorance. As it says in Lungchenpa's Treasure of Oral instructions, there are 6 kinds of antidotes for purifying the afflictive emotions. The first is through the Sharavika way of practice. They abandon the afflictive emotions and cognitive obscurations as enemies, or like a fire that falls in your lap. Falls, right? In your lap. You immediately try to put it out. Similar to that. Then in the Bodhisattva vehicle, afflictive emotions and obscurations are purified through bodhicitta. In the Vajrayana, they are transformed. As obscurations arise, they are transformed into wisdom. And particularly in the Yangzap way of practice, they are directly liberated, which means one directly realized the essence. And then in the Madhyamaka, they are purified like ocean waves that dissolve into into the ocean. And then the last, the they are purified by decisively, undoubtedly remaining in the view, right? Then all negative obscurations disappear. In brief, as I mentioned, all completion stage practices are included in two categories: completion stage with characteristics and completion stage without characteristics. The first we have already discussed. It is particularly tummo practice, channels practice, wind practice, power practice, and so on. They are all included in these categories of completion stage with science. Science, right? Just in channel practice, there are specific channel visualizations, and in this, there are chakras visualizations or palaces and mandala visualizations. And from each and every one of these channels, there are particular locations where luminosity, light is visualized, radiating different rays of color, light. And then there are different practices. And the second, the completion stage without science. This is non-duality. This is our final goal or stage. To achieve the unified state of Vajradhara, we have to realize non-duality. When we have completely accomplished the realization of non-duality, then we will have reached the unified state of Vajradhara. There are many ways to meditate on this. This is the final fruition of the union of appearances and awareness, the union of clarity and emptiness, the union of innate bliss and emptiness. So, this is the state of the Dharmakaya. So, we have to reach this stage. This is the goal and fruition of practice. It is none other than Buddha. So now we finished, right? Our completion stage discussion, and as I requested to you, beginning of this practice, let you generate bodhicitta for Mother Sentient Beings. That if you do that, then from my side, of course, I have to do that, and then our teachings and listening and reflecting meditations, they benefit to all Mother Sentient Beings, and then it will cause long life our gurus, and it will cause benefit Mother Sentient Beings, and it for help or support to our enlightenment. And thank you very much for listening. And now we are going to dedicate. It's Sam, let you arise bodhicitta. Chancho sencho renpo che ma je ba nan je jor je ba nyam ba me ba yang Gone gone bewajo.
May bodhicitta, the precious and supreme mind, arise in whom it has not yet arisen. Where it has arisen, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher.
Thank you very much.